Are live for episode 101, episode 145 of the Wise Guys podcast. Got a little tongue twister there. Has been a while for us. I'm Brandon Capozziello. That is Adrian Pineres, and we are back to discuss UFC 296, the card of the year, possibly. It is the most stacked card of the year since Jones versus Gane. Just basically, you go down the list. There's a fighter that even a casual viewer will know. We're going to talk about the entire card from Edwards, Covington, all the way down to Garbrandt, Kelleher, and even some more. We're going to react to Islam's recent comments, and we're going to react to Merab versus Cejudo being booked for UFC 298 in Anaheim, I believe. I would imagine it's going to be the co-main event to Volk and Topuria. But before we get into all that, if you're watching, please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe if you're new, share the content, comment along with us, and tell us your predictions of the UFC card coming up this Saturday. Cannot wait. It's exciting. I cannot wait to discuss it with Adrian here. And follow us on all the social medias. Links are in the description for everything there. But Adrian, let's just dive right in. Let's discuss it. UFC.
Let's just get right into it.
We'll start from the top, tippy top. Leon Rocky Edwards is taking on Colby Chaos Covington for the second defense of his championship, which he won last year against Kamaru Usman with the head kick heard around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Colby has not fought. How long has it been now? A year? Been a while.
Too long.
Like I think it was March 2022, if I'm not mistaken. It was against Jorge, obviously.
Yep.
Has not fought since then. Almost 2 years. How I see this fight, this is a very I have mixed feelings about this fight, right? Because Leon has shown great progress and gotten better each fight. Even the Usman fight, the third Usman fight, while it wasn't a blowout in Leon's way. Like Usman won, I believe, 2 rounds, but Leon won that fight. But he's gotten so much better in the wrestling department. And for Colby, we obviously know his bread and butter, his only path to victory is through the wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
The conflicting part for me, Adrian, is I truly believe Leon Edwards is overlooking Colby Covington. I do.
Mm-hmm.
You could just take him from face value from the words he's saying, and his comments back 6+ months ago after he fought Usman. He's kind of stayed pat on that. He kind of believes that Colby doesn't deserve this title shot, and he even was on Ariel's show on Monday, and he was talking about how Colby's they only talk about Colby's cardio. Like that's really all he's talking about. Nobody talks about his skill. Leon is overlooking Colby. I think that's dangerous. But I also he's got one path to victory, and the smart thing to do, Adrian, would be to pick the guy and believe the guy that has more than one way to win. Now, what help me out? What do you think? Because I'm still not really decided on this fight. What do you think about this main event?
Honestly, I can't overlook.
Ooh. A little bit of crackly sound. We hear you, but a little bit the crackly sound is back on your mic.
All right, let me get that
take it
fixed
first
before I get.
So,
You hear me?
I hear you.
Let's use my phone mic real quick. Let me give you my take.
Okay. I'm good now. Yep.
Honestly, I'm not gonna overlook the improvement that was Leon Edwards' wrestling. Like he found a way to neutralize Kamaru Usman to a degree in their championship fight, the third fight. And I think that standing, Colby right now, especially after a year off, he's never been a particularly exciting striker. He's not going to be able to stand with Leon. I think if Leon has done a great job managing distance, he's done a great job neutralizing takedowns, and He can stay on his feet. If he can keep the fight on the feet, he'll be fine. But I'll tell you the difference between, and this is why there's a little asterisk next to Colby Covington, is because his wrestling, I personally believe, is a little better than Kamaru Usman's. Because Kamaru Usman, he doesn't drown you like Colby does. Like when Colby gets you on the ground, you can see some of these fighters look like they're worn down. They feel like Colby takes them to places that not a lot of fighters can. He wears you down. And that's where the mistakes happen. That's where the openings happen. And that's where Colby gives himself a chance. But I feel like it's just that. It's a chance. I think that Leon has this fight if things can stay relatively in his atmosphere. I don't think if he can get taken down, I'm not going to take the idea of Leon Edwards getting out of a takedown or a successful takedown from Colby. Like, I'm not going to sit there and say it's impossible. But like I said, Colby will drown you. So we'll see how he looks after round 1, 2, and 3. And we'll see, because Leon now has championship cardio too. So it doesn't matter how much cardio Colby has. If Leon can keep it his pace, I think it's Leon's fight.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, listen, with Colby and his wrestling, I do agree he's got the slight edge on Usman in terms of the wrestling department. With Colby, it truly is. It's not the first takedown attempt. It's not even really the second one you got to worry about. It's the third, fourth, and fifth one. It's him chaining it all together. He's a grinder. That's really what he's gonna want to do. Leon's obviously going to have the opportunities because each round it starts on the feet, and Colby is no finisher. He's just not a finisher. I don't even really remember when Colby's last finish. Well, I think actually I just remembered it. It was the Tyron Woodley fight, but Woodley got injured. It was more of an injury. It wasn't Colby. Colby doesn't finish people. So for him to win this fight, your odds are that he's going to have to take it 5 rounds and beat Leon 5 rounds. To me, that's too much opportunity for Leon to land a shot. You saw it against Usman, and you saw it in the Jorge and Colby fight, where Jorge landed that big shot in the 4th round, late in the 4th round, but he couldn't capitalize because Jorge, be honest, that was his obviously second to last fight, and he was on the back 9 of his career, and he admittedly he didn't have the energy that he did before. And if he did, things could have been very different because, I mean, let's be honest, it looked like consciousness was removed from Colby when Jorge landed that big shot on him. But neither here nor there, Colby won that fight. I kind of have this weird feeling, Adrian, that Colby Covington is going to come out on top. I have this really weird feeling. This is what I don't believe. There's no disrespect to Leon. I don't believe he's going to be this long-standing champion. I don't. I just don't have that feeling about him. Now, I could easily be wrong. Listen, I'm being honest. The bet to make and the guy to pick is Leon Edwards because he's got the more ways to win this fight. But there's just, I don't know what it is. It's just this feeling I've got that I think Colby that this is going to be a bah humbug end of the year pay-per-view where Colby Covington is our new UFC welterweight champion to start 2024 after not having a fight in the past year and a half plus and not having any wins in the top. Everybody he's beaten, Adrian, none of them are ranked today. Majority of them, I think, are retired, except for RDA, who's actually in the lightweight division now. And he's probably on his last fight or 2. I just got this feeling. I don't know what it is. I got a feeling. Black Eyed Peas. Any more you got want to comment on that fight?
Yeah, I guess it's the year. I guess you're thinking this is the year of the Americans, man. You got Sean Strickland coming out and upsetting. You got Sean O'Malley. I mean, although this dude, a lot of people had him winning because the hype value, hype train. But you looked at Aljo. Aljo was he was the guy with the resume. He was the guy with the credentials to take out a guy like Sean O'Malley. And hey, I mean, shit, if you're gonna keep going with the bah humbug type trend, I wouldn't see why Colby Covington rounding out the year like that would be the perfect way to do it. But yeah, no, nothing else to touch on with that one, brother.
World champ Colby Chaos Covington, and I'm really having a battle with myself if I add him to my parlay, because that's the one fight I'm not very confident on. The rest of them I'm pretty, for the main card I should say. The rest of them I'm pretty confident on my picks. This is the one where I'm like, he's got great value. I don't even know what he is. I think he's like probably, I'm gonna check right now. I bet you he's like plus 300, plus 250, something like that. Well, oh wow, okay. He is plus 140. That's a lot closer than I thought. But I don't know. I just got this feeling. But
chaos, man. Chaos.
And that is exactly what could happen. He's gonna come out to that Kurt Angle song. Dun, 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 you suck. There's something to that. Sean Brady was on the MMA Hour last week, and he was like, "I'm picking Colby to win," and he was like, "It's because, you see these other countries and stuff like that, Adrian, and they all support their own, right? Their own, their countrymen and women and stuff like that. Like you see, we were talking about the Connor stuff before the McGregor walking into Winter Wonderland or McGregor Wonderland, whatever it was, right? The nations get behind you. The Canadians with GSP, Connor with Ireland, Bisbing, Darren Till with England, all the and other sports obviously too. But the Americans, we don't get behind our own, right? We actually more identify with, like, if you ask me, I'm not a soccer fan, Adrian, but if you ask me during the World Cup, what soccer team am I rooting for? You want to know what it's not America. It's Italy first, then Germany, then I'll vote for America. Because you usually go with your nationalities, right? I would assume you're the same way with soccer.
I was, when I was younger, I would follow the USA team a lot, but by proxy, I follow Colombia a lot more than I do the US, because there's more skill, there's more talent there, and there's more going on, so it's respectfully.
Yeah. You got a little crackle there. I don't know what that was, but hopefully it gets all fixed. But next up, we've got the co-main event, Alexandre Pantoja in a rematch, taking on Brandon Royval. Shout out Brandon for the flyweight championship. Rematch. Last fight was a couple years ago. Pantoja came out on top, submitted Royval, actually. Pantoja was highly impressive. Now, while I came away from his Moreno fight, I thought Moreno won. I thought Moreno slightly edged out that victory. But Pantoja got the victory, and he was highly impressive in that fight. That was a hell of a fight, by the way. Pantoja walked forward like a zombie. I mean, Brandon was landing heavy shots, bombs, sniper shots. And this guy, Pantoja, just walked forward like a zombie. It was scary, to be honest with you. It was pretty scary. And I just don't see what Royval is going to be. I believe this is going to be an exciting ass fight. I believe Pantoja is going to get the victory. I think he gets the finish as well. I think Royval is very creative and stuff, and he's able to. He's a crazy guy in there, right? He throws up crazy shit, but I don't think that's going to work on Pantoja. I think Pantoja gets the victory. And I think he moves on to I believe Albazi and Moreno are headlining UFC Mexico in February, I believe it is. And I would imagine that's going to be the quote-unquote number one contender fight for the winner of this, which I believe will be Pantoja. And one last thing, and I'll just throw it to you, Adrian. The speech afterwards that Pantoja gave, where he gained a lot of fans, where it was like, are you proud of me now, Dad? Are you proud of me now? I mean, that just struck a chord with a bunch of people. You could go down Twitter when it happened, everybody tweeting about it. So we rooting for Pantoja over here. Pantoja's going to get the job done. I believe it.
I agree, just for the simple fact that because do I got a crackle just before I start? Okay, good. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I thought I had Brandon winning that other fight as well. I think that might have been a little bit more emotion because Brandon's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I'm gonna be honest. I got to go back and rewatch it, and I'll give a very solid and more informed take on it. But personally, at the time, I had Brandon winning it, and I will be honest, probably had a little emotion. But moving on from that, Royval, but Pantoja beat Royval last time, and Pantoja also beat Brandon last time. So to go with the trend, I'm gonna have to take Pantoja as well, because like you said, and I go with the recency. I look at the fights. Yeah, fighters evolve as they go. So I look at their most recent fight. I look at Pantoja's most recent fight. Like you said, zombie, walking forward, trading absolute monster shots for that division. These two, right on the chin, eating these shots, getting up, knocked down. First of all, what a brawl! So I honestly hope that Pantoja can hold on to this belt and really just see another match against Moreno, and that would be awesome. But I personally have Pantoja winning just for the simple fact that he looked amazing in his last fight, and he won his last fight against Royval as well. So I'll take Pantoja's on this side.
100%. I really want to see that rematch, or would it be a trilogy, or is it their fourth fight, Pantoja and Moreno? I think it's.
I think it would be a trilogy, but yeah, that rematch for the belt. I think a second rematch for the belt would be such a banger. They would
to look at it's very awesome to look at the flyweight division since it kind of sucks since Mighty Mouse left, because obviously we got that incredible fight between Cejudo and Mighty Mouse, the fight that Mighty Mouse left on, where Cejudo finally won the championship. And right after that, that fight on, tell me the flyweight championship fights have not been can't miss. You've got, since the Mighty Mouse Cejudo second fight, you had Cejudo versus Dillashaw, which was a quick finish, the debut on ESPN as well. Then you had Cejudo vacated the title, so then it was the dominance of Davis and Figueiredo, who was just beating the shit out of people for a little bit. And then we've got the greatest, and then on a month's notice, right? Moreno and Figgy were on the same pay-per-view in November, both win their fights, say, let's run this fight right now in December. They do it, and what a fight. The greatest flyweight championship fight, whatever you want to call it, in MMA history. That shit was just awesome between Moreno and Figgy, the first one. Then you just had the quadrilogy, if you want to call it, after that. And then Pantoja versus Moreno winning the interim championship against Kai. It's just been, and I don't think this is going to disappoint either. I think this is going to be a hell of an exciting fight. I just think Pantoja is going to walk away with the W. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the finish as well, too.
No, I agree. I think that Pantoja is dangerous on the ground. He's shown that he can exchange blows, and
never been finished.
Also, that's a good point. But also, I think that I go back to that point. Yeah, absolutely. Since the departure of Mighty Mouse, which was a controversial controversial end to his career in the UFC. Some people thought he won that fight.
Yeah.
And then you had DJ Dillashaw, trying to literally campaigning about, I'm going to destroy this division because it's not exciting and this isn't going to happen. And yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then Cejudo defends the whole 9 yards. Figgy pulls out power that we've never seen in that division because he's huge for that division.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest quadrilogies, trilogies, with such controversy with, some people thinking so-and-so won compared to someone else. And it was just, it was never a dull moment in that division. So I'm excited to see more of Figgy and bantamweight, but flyweight still looks like it's got a bright future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we're good, yeah. Hell yeah. Listen, dude, you still got the upcoming, obviously, Albazi's fighting Moreno still, and then you've got Muhammad Makayev, who's still coming up, too, as a can't-miss prospect, and I'm probably missing on a couple as well. Still surprised Askar Askarov just kind of left after kind of one loss, and then he just left, so I don't know what that was. He wasn't the most exciting fighter, but next up, Let's talk about the non-title fights now. I mean, Jesus Christ. Shavkat Rachmanov taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And Rachmanov is a minus 650 favorite. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Shavkat is obviously 17-0. All 17 wins by finish. This man, no fuck around. And Wonderboy is 40 years old. He's coming off a TKO win over Kevin Holland. He hasn't fought in a year, basically, actually. But he's fighting almost like once a year the last 2 years. I've kind of since this fight was announced. Obviously, this fight was made. Wonderboy was like, I want a top 5 guy, and the UFC was like, yeah, we got a top 5 guy for you, the Boogeyman. And the reason they're really giving it to him is because the UFC didn't like, and Dana openly spoke about this. He didn't say this is why they're doing it, but he openly spoke about how he was displeased with Wonderboy's decisions surrounding the Michelle Pereira fight, where Wonderboy did not accept the catch weight. And then he didn't accept, I believe, a rebook, or not a rebook, a short notice fight against somebody. I believe it was rumored to be Ian Gary in August. If you guys remember that, UFC was not pleased with that. Dana was not pleased with that. I believe Wonderboy is all in his right. Listen, I'm in the back nine of my career. This is like my last shot running for a title. I don't want to chance it. I thought it was a little fucked up that the UFC didn't pay Michelle money. I mean, I showed up. I made the weight. That's kind of show. I'm here, like, right? But they got that settled out. Wonderboy talked about they got that settled out. But he's being fed to the wolves. There's no event. I believe Wonderboy is going to put up a good fight, but Shavkat he's a manimal. This man destroys people. Okay, he's like fucking Thanos. He comes in, he snaps his fingers, and these guys just dissipate. I don't see it other than Wonderboy catching him, Adrian. And he well could, because he's a sniper and he's one of the best. But I don't think he's beating Shavkat. I just don't. I'd take Shavkat by finish.
I agree. I think Shavkat's going to maul him. I think that Shavkat's going to say, fuck your standing game and whatever it is that you want. This is the rules are the rules. This is a fight. And there are multiple ways to beat somebody. And I'll beat you how I beat you. And if, like you said, I think Wonderboy's got a...
Yo, you got a little crackle.
Oh, my phone. Hold on, let me just switch up. You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I think Wonderboy's got a striker's chance, a kicker's chance in the sense of Wonderboy, where it's just maybe he catches him coming in on a takedown or something. I mean, he's just taking so much damage. Like, I love Wonderboy, man. He's got a great, beautiful style, and I love striking. I love watching people strike. But
do you think Shavkat's? Do you think Shavkat's going to take the path of least resistance and try and take him down and finish him there? Or
yeah, I don't see why not. The dude looks like a world beater, and he'll finish you any way possible. So he'll submit you, he'll knock you out. Like, it doesn't matter. And if he wants to stand and bang to prove something, sure. But I don't see why he just doesn't just mull him and just take the win the way he should, because this is for Stephen Thompson's talking about title implications. Bet you just got Shavkat because you declined two bouts that you said weren't going to be title implicated. You know what I'm saying? So so here you are. This is what you want. Shavkat's realizing this is for title implications. The sooner I get him done, the less damage I get dealt, the longer I can fight for and make money. I think the guy's it's a no-brainer. I think the guy is just gonna do what he's got to do, get in, get out. I don't know if you recently seen on Instagram, the UFC posted the dude skipped his sister's wedding. He's at the gym. They on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, dude's calculated. Dude's in the gym.
It's all business. He's all business. He don't fuck around.
Yeah, you don't mess around. He's
So
not here
I
to
mean,
play.
yeah,
He's here to fight.
like you said, this has got somewhat of title implications. Obviously, I believe Bilal is going to be next after Colby and Leon, but that obviously could all change.
Maybe the guy gets a finish.
Huh?
I like Bilal. I do. But if the guy can get a finish, that would help him a lot. Like
It
come
would.
on.
It would. And listen, I think that's I think when I'm being complete full transparency as I'm speaking, I'm like, I feel like I'm discrediting Wonder Boy's skill set, and I'm really not trying to because I understand he is one of the highest level strikers in mixed martial arts history. Okay, he's a sniper to the highest degree. If this was the UFC video game, his striking would be, I think it's stars, and I think it's out of 5, so he'd be 5 stars, right? 10 out of 10. But this guy, Shavkat, I just believe is one of those boogeymen that comes around and it's just 17-0 with 17 finish is just you can't get around that. That's just impressive as all hell. And he's doing it against guys like Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, Alex Oliveira, the Cowboy. He's beating good guys. And I think this is going to be his quote-unquote crowning achievement. And then he's going to take this and he's going to, I don't know, maybe they make Bilal fight Shavkat next or whatever the case may be. But Shavkat's right there for the championship. And scary times for the 170-pound champion looking out for Shavkat Rakhmonov, Adrian. So we're both in agreement. For the past 2 fights, we both believe Pantoja's going to win. We believe Shavkat's going to win. Next up, a fight that's kind of going under the radar. The return of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. The next big thing. He hasn't fought in a year, Adrian. It's been a while, right? And it's going under the radar. Is it just me? It's just kind of flying under the radar. You're not thinking about it.
I feel like people are
go ahead.
Yeah, Tony. The whole fact that they feel like everybody's just waiting, thinking that they're feeding Tony to the wolves. Paddy's got.
All right, well, I mean, let's talk about it. Do you believe? So we got Tony Ferguson versus Paddy. Do you believe Tony's being fed to what do we got? What are you thinking about this? What's your?
I would love, like I said, the fan in me would love to see Tony Ferguson somehow, some way, get back to form. But like he's only getting older, and the UFC knows that Paddy the Baddy's got this. Paddy Pimblett's got this. He's got the potential to be a UFC.
He's got the it factor. He's got the it factor.
Yeah, he's got the it factor. He's got the people behind him. He's been doing it since Cage Warriors. The guy's got personality, and he talks a lot of shit. He does whatever he wants to do, and he doesn't. You don't have to like him. Like, yeah, he talks about this year being the hardest one because fans didn't like how he took his most recent fight, and he kind of became the heel. But regardless, the guy's talking his shit, and you are tuning in to watch him win or lose. Regardless, that's how it goes. So the UFC is carefully curating that. They did it with O'Malley. Then they're going to keep doing it with Paddy. And unless somebody just steps in and says, fuck your hype, I don't care that they want you. Mm-hmm. This is the fight game, and we get it done in the cage. Which I think, like I said, Tony, man, I would love to see it. He's got the mental to go in there and be like, I'm a warrior, and I'm gonna go in there and dug it out and do this. But sometimes the mind and body disconnects at some point, and he's just getting to that point, man, where I don't know if he can keep up with the young gun like Paddy.
Nah. Listen, he and this is coming from a Tony fan. Like, Tony is one of my favorite fighters. He's lost 6 fights in a row. I mean, there's no way to discuss anything else about that. He's lost 6 fights in a row.
A lot of guys get cut after 6 fights in a row.
Exactly. I mean, Tony has obviously built up a lot of goodwill with the UFC, taking fights on short notice. brawler of fights, fight of the night, violent fights, just all these things, right? And the fans love him. I mean, you can go watch his last 6 fights, even though he's lost, except for obviously the pandemic fight against Gaethje. The fans are behind him. The fans are always behind him because there were no fans, obviously in that arena. The fans are always behind him. They're chanting for Tony. Like they're always chanting Tony. They want to see because Tony was so excited because Tony was so different. He did things a weird way or whatever. He walked to the beat of his own drum. And as a Tony Ferguson fan, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Patty's faster than him. He's stronger than him. He's younger than him. And he's just better everywhere now because of the speed deficiencies in Tony Ferguson. He looked like he truly did look like a shell of himself in the Bobby Green fight. Like he looked a step slow. It just didn't look good. And I kind of fear that Patty's probably going to get the finish on Tony. And I hate to say that because it's going to suck. And I don't know if this is going to be Tony's last fight. Very well could be. It would be 7 in a row. Be another finish in a row. He's 39. Maybe the UFC gives them one more fight. I don't know. But for Patty, it's a great name. This is what you do. You add these names to your legacy. You add these names to your resume. Having the name Tony Ferguson on your resume is going to look very, very good. So, yeah, onward and upward for Patty the Batty, the bad guy. I wonder if he's gonna get booed during the fans because he's staying under the radar. A lot of his stuff, out of sight, out of mind, hasn't been talked about really. So I'm very interested to see the crowd reaction to Patty. We're gonna see obviously in 2 days during the for the press conference on Thursday. Can't wait for that. It's got fucking like 9 people, Adrian, showing up to the press conference. They got everybody.
Yeah, I think the fans are going to receive Patty in a pretty bad way.
You got the crackle again, Adrian.
Oh, crackle.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, the personalities: Patty, Tony, Wonder Boy, Covington, Leon, Ian Gary. We're about to get you, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, all these fucking different personalities are gonna be on the stage. I cannot wait for that. But yeah, we're both lockstep. We believe Patty's gonna take the victory here. Next up, rounding out the pay-per-view, Ian Gary, I guess you would say, is probably kind of stealing the show right now for the UFC 296 Talk of the Town. Adrian, Ian Gary's taking on Vicente Luque. Tell me what you're thinking about this fight.
How are we sounding? Better?
You sound good now. I think try just no muting. Maybe no muting. We'll just keep it.
Yeah, we're. Honestly, Ian's just getting better, like you said. Ian's just getting better. He's gonna. I hope he is mentally strong enough to take on this heel life because honestly, whole wife thing aside, because that's not like, even though they made it our business, right? I like to tell people that like, nobody's personal life is our business until you fucking make it our business by posting it here, there, and everywhere. And we all know Ian loves to walk around with the camera, so it's his own fault. But that's besides the point. Where fans are really getting at him is the whole Neil Magny thing, and the way he was talking about him, and now his life has got actual repercussions from that previous fight. So the fans love Neil Magny. So you best believe they're gonna get on Ian Gary, and the only way he gets out of this, and same thing with Paddy Pimblett, the only way these two guys get out of this is if they put on an exciting performance with an eccentric finish, and it's a super electric fight with a crazy finish. And I think Ian Gary can get it done.
Yeah,
I really do. He's only been looking like he's getting better. It's crazy. He's like he levels up every fight, and winning solves everything. Winning fixes everything. I think that he just got to be mentally strong enough to get through this and win maybe 1 or 2 fights. Maybe not after this one, but maybe after the next one. But if this one's pretty crazy and he can get it done in a flashy way, maybe this one is. But regardless, I see Ian Gary getting a bunch of fans back after this fight. I got Ian Gary winning this fight.
Oh my God. Yeah, I got Ian Gary taking this fight as well. And I think he gets the finish as well, too. I think he KO TKOs Vicente Luque. Listen, Vicente Luque, he's a good fighter. He's that gatekeeper type fighter. But we kind of know his ceiling has been reached, right? And that's no disrespect. But if you look at his record, he's beaten RDA in his last fight. Like I said, RDA is on the back nine of his career. He lost to Jeff Neal by finish. Lost to Bilal Muhammad. Those are two guys in the top 10, below the top 5. Two guys that are, younger and would expect brighter days ahead of them, right? Then he's beaten Michael Chiesa and Tyron Woodley before that. Two guys that kind of, again, back nine of their career at that point. So Ian Gary is definitely not on the back nine of his career. He's 26 years of age. The best days for Ian Gary in front of him. He's 13-0. Just what he did to Neil Magny was hella impressive. Just brutalized him, and the way he took care of Daniel Rodriguez was, I think, even more impressive. Because I didn't expect him to just boom knock this guy down out and win the fight like that. I've got Ian winning the fight, like I said, finishing Vicente Luque. But I gotta say this before we move off the main card: the welterweight division, Adrian, is stacked. I mean, you got Leon, Bilal, Colby, Gilbert, Shavkat, Wonderboy, Sean Brady, Jeff Neal, Luque, Ian Gary, JDM, Holland, Magny, Chiesa. It's a stacked 170-pound division, man.
You got a good mix of vets that are still putting on pretty good fights in the back end of their careers, like Luque and Wonderboy. You got guys that are fan favorites that honestly can lose fights and have fun fights, like Kevin Holland and Jeff Neal. And well, not really Jeff Neal, but still more a fan favorite, But
and then you got the young and up and comers.
Yeah, and then you got the young up and comers like JDM and Ian Gary. It's crazy how much. How is Leon saying this division's got no fights for him? Like this guy's bugging. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't want to say. Yeah, no. It's crazy why he would say that. I don't get that.
Everybody just wants to be double champ after seeing Sean Strickland.
Yeah, everybody double champ. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on to the main event of the prelims. Short notice fight. Josh Emmett taking on Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell taking this on short notice, stepping in for Giga Chikazia, who tore his groin, I believe it was. That must suck. Bryce Mitchell coming off a win against Dan Ige. Josh Emmett obviously coming off 2 losses in a row to Topuria Rodriguez. This is kind of probably either his second to last fight or something like that. It's back nine, basically, what I would say. You know what Josh Emmett's going to bring to the table. He's going to bring power. He's going to bring that dog. And he's got pretty damn good wrestling, but I don't expect him to utilize that. I think he's going to try and keep this one on the feet and land the big shots, because we've obviously seen with Bryce Mitchell, he's not
a slouch.
He's not that good on the feet. Let's be honest. On the feet, he's not that good. He's
exactly. On the wrestling department, he's not a slouch. So,
and the wrestling department and the grappling department, he's high level. He's relentless. Colby-esque in the wrestling department, but has high level jiu-jitsu, which Colby kind of lacks, to be honest with you. This man Bryce Mitchell, he's one of the few people to get the twister submission in UFC history. I'm a fan of Bryce. I love Thug Nasty. Brings this. Listen, he says some crazy shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. He says some crazy shit. Not everything I agree with.
Well, but
I don't agree with everything he says. But I like the pizzazz. I like the attitude. It's not a character, but just that the person he is, because his personality is a character. That some people are like that. You meet people in your life that are like that. That just who they are characters. They're not going to fake it. That's just who they are, and that's Bryce Mitchell. Thug Nasty with his cargo shorts. Finally got the cargo Reebok or whatever the hell it is now, Under Armour, Venom, I think it is.
Venom got him his cargo shorts.
I think Bryce Mitchell gets the job done on short notice. I think Bryce Mitchell is always going to bring good cardio. I think he grinds this victory out, and I think Bryce Mitchell gets the job done.
I agree. I think that just simply because when you get good cardio, some people have good chins. Bryce has got, I think, a better chin than Emmett now, especially after that Taporia fight. If we looked at Emmett after that Taporia fight, he looked messed up, and he's only older. Like you said, he's on the back end of his career. Your chin's only.
Adrian, you got the you snap, crackle, and popping.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. I wish it wasn't. Talk to me. You hear me?
I hear you.
Better?
You're better now. Yeah.
All right, word. Yeah, I think he's on the back end of his career, and some people they love getting lost in the what a fighter has done, but I mean, you gotta take a damage into consideration. People gotta take into that cumulative damage that goes on, and yeah, especially after that one, I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin for Josh Emmett.
Yeah, he's just not. Yeah, listen. He's gonna bring out. I expect this to be an exciting fight, but I think Bryce Mitchell gets the job done. I don't know. I'm questionable on the finish. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get the finish on Josh Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he is. He's relentless. Cook him to the bone mentality, I believe it is. It's a pretty exciting fight. Bryce Mitchell taking the fight on short notice. That's gonna Bryce Mitchell company man. He's the favorite, minus 235. So Vegas is going with Bryce Mitchell right now. Next up, final kind of fight we're gonna we want to talk about really in depth, but Cody Garbrandt, Brian Kelleher is or Keller, I don't know how it's said, I forgot. Is fighting. Listen, I'm just gonna quickly say it. Like Tony Ferguson, Cody Garbrandt is also one of my favorite fighters. I loved witnessing the greatest. It's arguably, I mean, it's top 5 championship performances in UFC history. Cody versus Dom, just a beautiful performance. If you have not seen that and you're an MMA fan, you're missing out. Please go watch that. It's just beautiful work to watch. And then the downfall from there. I mean, basically 10, 15 more seconds in the first TJ fight in the first round. We're probably having a different discussion right now where Cody Garbrandt is finished TJ Dillashaw in the first round, because make no mistake about it, he had TJ fucked up. All right? Don't believe me? Go watch the tape. And he got a little too confident, borderline cockiness, got caught, got rocked, finished, and then it just kind of downhill spiral from there. Had one resurgence with the oh god, who was it? Who did he beat? The knockout. Sun Tzu. He came back, finished that was a hell of a fucking finish. The duck under, big shot from underneath. Then lost the fight against Rob Font, which I thought he did pretty well in, but lost the fight. Then he just made a stupid decision trying to go to 125. That was just dumb. I don't know. Yeah, what were we doing? Like, you saw TJ do it, absolute drained. Your chin is gone, and he got fucked up by Kai Kara France. Then he came back, beat Trevin Jones at 135, kind of a no-namer. Now he's fighting Keller, and Keller is he's a tough guy. Junkyard dog, as Mr. John McCarthy likes to say. But I'm always going to ride with my boy, Cody Garbrandt. This is the frustrating thing about Cody Garbrandt. He has got all the skills and talent in the world. He's one of the fastest guys still in the UFC. His boxing is high level. He's got pretty damn good wrestling. It's just, he's got that mentality where it's blood in the water. If I'm hurt, kill or be killed mentality, and he loses his shit, and that's what happens. He gets into these firefights. But when Cody is smart and fighting composed and loose, Cody Garbrandt, I gotta go with Cody. I gotta run my boy Cody.
I think this is another instance of just you're in love with what the
heart. This is 100%, Adrian. Heart overhead, 100%.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, shit. Like Cody Garbrandt must have sold his soul or the rest of his career for that one Dom fight. Said, please, I don't care what happens after this fight. Just give me this god tier performance. And whoever MMA gods just said bet and gave him a performance of a lifetime, gave him the belt, and just as quickly as it came, it went. And
oh god,
how to move his head. Like I don't know what happened. The dude was exceptional at getting out of the way. That's what made that fight so goddamn good. That he was basically untouchable. It was head movement, hitting you with a little emote, then cracking you, like, and then getting the fuck out the way. And I agree, he's a fast guy, and he still is, but that's the majority of the bantamweight division now. A lot of fast twitch guys, a lot of people who are really, like, real quick. Keller,
he's different. He's
not
different.
as quick, but still, like, for bantamweight.
Cody is 1,000% the faster fighter when he goes in there. And I think he possesses more power, too, than Keller.
Keller's chin is just gonna hold up longer than Cody's, and if Cody gets caught and he doesn't move his head and he's shown, then just kind of just go into this auto mode firefight. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what it is, AJ. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's he comes from, and the crackle started a little bit there. So see if you, but he like I said, it's the kill or be killed mentality. When he sees blood in the water, right, he's gonna go for it. Or likewise, if he gets hurt and he feels composed, he's going. Like it's just go. So and listen, that has helped him in his career. And that also it comes back to bite you with the TJ fight. And then and that was honestly the worst thing that ever happened was getting the immediate rematch. If he had not gotten that immediate rematch, which honestly, if you look back on it, he didn't necessarily deserve it because it was, he didn't defend the championship. You could have easily did the Dom fight, but they went with Cody because I think they did the Ultimate Fighter as well, and because it was the bad blood and it got people interested, right?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't fight TJ the second time right after, there's a chance, Cody's career takes a different path as well because it was just too much venom was in that fight at that time, right? Like I said, I think Cody's going to be the faster fighter. I think he's going to have more power. You're right, Keller's got the better chin. I think Cody's the better striker. So I think Cody gets the job as long, and you're correct. As if Cody fights smart, I believe he wins this fight honestly with flying colors, passes the test with flying colors. If he gets touched or reverts back, we easily could see the opposite. And Cody of the last 4 or 6, 4, 3, 5 fights, wherever the hell it has been in his career, has just been bad.
I got Keller by decision.
Okay. At least listen. At least you didn't say finish because that's just I can't see it. I can't see it anymore. My boys, man. My boys I can't see it anymore, Adrian. I wanted to shout out a couple more fighters. Irene Aldana's fighting on this card, former championship contender. Casey O'Neill, young up and comer in the women's flyweight division that I'm still gonna hype up. I believe the women's flyweight division is the best in mixed martial arts. It's just stacked with talent. I'm still pissed the UFC got rid of Tala Santos. I don't understand it. She was an exciting fighter. She pushed Valentina to her limit. I don't understand why she only had like 2 losses in her career, 19 or 20 wins and 2 losses. Like, how do you get rid of that?
Could have just been a contract dispute. Maybe we don't know.
Casey O'Neal's fighting. I'm excited. I'm a fan of Casey O'Neal. Rooting for Casey O'Neal to get the job done. Alonzo Menafield and Dustin Jacoby. That should be an exciting stand-up fight. Andre Touchy-Feely's fighting. Randy Brown. Listen, top to bottom, T to B. Since the Jones Gone card, Adrian, this is the best card and possibly the best card of the year, if you're going to be honest with you. If it plays out the way I think it's going to play out, it arguably is going to be the best card of the year. But we're definitely going to get into that. Probably not next week, but probably the week after. We're going to do our obviously our year-end awards for mixed martial arts. A look back at the year that was 2023 for MMA. But that's going to wrap up UFC 296 talk. So let's dive. Let me pull up the comments real quick, Adrian, of one Mr. Islam Makhachev. Is that how it's said? Islam Makhachev. Gamrot and RDA was booked. Oh, yep. I tweeted. I said, since that's the fight that's being booked, I was like, okay. And actually, we're going to talk about it now. Almeida versus Curtis Blades was rebooked. Like that a lot. Tai Tuivasa's coming back. Marcin Tybura, UFC 298. Love Tai Tuivasa. Who doesn't love Tai Tuivasa? I mean, come on. How can you not like Tai?
Just like big, heavy shots being thrown. People.
If you don't like Tai Tuivasa, I don't think I can fuck with you, to be honest with you, as a person. I just feel like you're just not that type of person. You know what I mean? They had it. Here we go. I gotta click on the link. Dude, they make you do the links, Adrian. All right. So this is quote Islam Makhachev. To be honest, I've already told UFC I'm not interested in rematches. Because if you want to be a champion in a good way, you have to add new names. There's Gaethje, who I would say deserved a fight. I think it would be more interesting to fight him. I think in March, maybe. End quote. So that kind of obviously opens the eyes that Islam wants to come back around March. But as I've kind of stated, I believe, and I think a lot of people are starting to catch on now, Conor McGregor is going to be headlining UFC 300 against Michael Chandler. So, and I highly doubt Islam Makhachev is going to accept a co-main event to Conor McGregor. So I don't know. Maybe they do 2 pay-per-views in April. Sometimes they do 2 in March. I would say maybe they do 2 in April, or maybe Islam fights in May. I don't know where Ramadan ends up there, but I know he's got a fight in the October card of later next year because obviously, or maybe the Saudi Arabia card. I don't know when the Saudi Arabia card is. Maybe they put Islam on that card, but I'm rambling on, Agent. So what I wanted to get to was obviously, and perfect that the news dropped today too. RDA and Gamrot has been booked. So that opens the door perfectly. Islam is saying, I don't want to fight Oliveira. I've already made that clear to the UFC. It doesn't interest me at all. I want Gaethje. So it opens the door now. This is perfect. This perfectly lines up for everybody. Okay? Gaethje has earned the title shot. You can't deny that, Adrian. Nobody can deny that. He's earned the title shot. He beat Fiziev. He beat Gaethje. He beat Poirier. Those are impressive wins, especially the one against Poirier where he knocked him out. Oliveira's only had 1 fight since his loss against Islam, and he beat Beneil. Okay, well, guess what? There was another guy who just beat Beneil too, and he did it faster and arguably better than what Charles did. And that's Arman Sarukian, who also has staked his claim. Hold on, here we go. Staked his claim in the top 5 division, right? Here's what you do. You got Gamrot and RDA booked already. Islam versus Gaethje and Oliveira versus Arman Sarukian for the number 1 contendership. All right? And if Charles wins that fight, then there's no questioning. I can't come out here and say, oh, he's only won the 1 fight. He's only beaten Beneil. I can't say that. I can't. He would have beat a up-and-coming lion in Arman Sarukian, who a lot of people believe could actually beat Islam if matched up with him. You do that, there's no questions asked. So that's what I think.
All right, I'll say 2 things. One, I'm not fit to talk about how it is to be a champion.
Wait. I want you to be clear. So there's a little crackle there, but I want you to be able to say this clearly. So,
Yeah.
but it feels like Adrian's about to go in, as they say.
Talk to me. Can you hear me? Better?
Go ahead, hit it.
Man, I feel like I can't speak on how it is to be a champion because I'm not a champion the way Islam is, right? But we look at books and we can look at people's lives and we can look at what we take from those and we can look at experiences in other people's lives we can take from those. What champion hasn't had a rematch ever? Let's be honest. Let's talk about it. Can you name a champion that has never had a rematch before? Unless they just lost it right afterwards to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that makes no sense. I don't see how that's a viable argument for Islam Makhachev to just not fight Charles. And also, Charles versus Islam was good. The only reason why Gaethje has that impressive Poirier win is because Charles versus Islam was booked. If Charles versus Islam was not booked, I don't think that Poirier Gaethje fight was going to be booked just yet because you had options on the table. So maybe the UFC wasn't going to book them yet. But because that fight was off the table, of course you made that BMF title belt, whatever, gave him the rematch. Boom, it happened. Great. It was impressive. Don't get me wrong. But, the UFC doesn't owe Charles anything. But it's not like Charles pulled out or missed weight.
Well, he pulled out.
So I think
he did pull out.
I mean, yeah, but he pulled out because of injury.
No, 100% valid reason, but he did.
It wasn't really his fault. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
It's some shit that happened.
Yeah.
And we know how the UFC treats, fighters that, go against what Dana wants.
Yeah.
But I think that Dana's made it clear that it's going to be Charles. I think that it's going to still, I personally still believe it's going to be Charles. And Islam, man, I don't know. Like, why?
Yeah,
like,
don't
why
you
not?
think I don't think. Well, first off, to your point of it's not a real. I don't think Islam is just saying it's just for the. Listen, first off, there's the English barrier, right? He's not going to be able to articulate himself very well in English. I think Islam, if I read between the lines, what Islam is saying is what I basically said, which is Gaethje has won 2 fights in a row since his last loss to Oliveira, right? Oliveira, I just dominated Oliveira, okay, last year in 1 round. It was, quick work of this defending champion, right? He's won 1 fight since that, okay, and in impressive fashion. But another guy who actually gave me a much tougher test in his debut in the UFC on short notice at 21 years old beat that guy that Oliveira beat, and he did it faster and arguably better. Okay? Why would I want to fight Oliveira again? Sure, if I want to make quick money where I know what basically is going to happen against Oliveira, sure. Makhachev could easily take that route, which is the easier route, to be honest with you. He wants to take the quote-unquote tougher route, which is Gaethje, where Gaethje is, well, listen, and I've said this before multiple times, you get Gaethje on the ground, he's a fish out of water. You can literally, he's done. Okay, right?
So then is that really the tough fight?
Well, no, but you have to get him there. And if you remember the Khabib Gaethje fight, go back and watch how frantic Khabib was. He was frantic for a multitude of reasons, right? He understood the power that Justin Gaethje possesses, and not just his right hand, but also his left hand, the speed Justin Gaethje possesses, the striking level that he possesses, which is at a high level, and he's gotten even better since that fight, and a tough granite chin, great cardio, a will to win, a guy who's going to pressure you, and the key thing, he's arguably, there's Alex Pereira, then it's probably Justin Gaethje with the hardest leg kicks in the UFC. Islam is going to stand with Gaethje much more. He fancies himself a very good striker, and he actually is a much better striker. I've always said this. Islam, not a fish out of water on the feet. Okay, he's actually much more composed and comfortable on the feet than Khabib ever was. But that poses threats because now you're playing the game that Gaethje wants you to play, where it's like, okay, now I can set you up, right? I believe that is a tougher test. Do I think Islam still gets the victory? Do I think Islam still finishes him? Sure. But I think it takes him maybe till round 2 or round 3. I think with the Oliveira fight, I actually think that he probably finishes him in 1 round again. I truly do. I'm sorry. I can't help how I feel, Adrian. That's just how I feel about the situation.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I disagree with the ability of Charles Oliveira. Like I think that
I'm not questioning his ability, but there's levels to this, Adrian.
Yeah, there are levels to this, but I mean, like let's also take into account that people improve, and I think that nobody comes back more with a vengeance than people like Charles Oliveira, who we've seen him lose fights and then come back and have that insane title run, and being deemed a quitter and being deemed somebody who doesn't fight through pain or doesn't will through tough situations, and this is a tough situation. I think him getting stripped from the belt, we knew what that meant to him, and
that was bullshit. That was bullshit. Yeah, that was bullshit.
I think that
Crackling.
but I mean not only just getting stripped, but also getting
crackling.
Yeah,
I think it was me interrupting. Once I interrupted you, it happened right after I shouldn't have said anything. No, but that was bullshit. Him getting stripped of the title. Yeah, I think you're good. Yeah.
All right, awesome. I think that and him losing the title to Islam. We see him come back. We see him fight well. We see that he's capable, and that's also he's a great striker. Not as good as not as heavy-handed with as Gaethje, but I think that he's a better overall fighter as well, which makes it more of an interesting bout. And although it's going to be a firefight, especially if Islam's now thinking like, oh, I'm a striker now. I knocked out Volk, you know what I'm saying, and I'm gonna stand on the feet and see what I can do, especially somebody like Gaethje. But he could easily do what I said, what Shavkat will do to Stephen Thompson and just completely neutralize and pressure him, and get the job done the way Khabib did. So I don't know. I feel like part of me wanted to see just how far Charles had gone when it came to his test or his rematch against Islam. I think that a good amount, the fan of me, and just from what I've seen, he was gonna come out with looking better, looking sharper, better ground game, which is hard to say about Charles Oliveira. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think you said there's levels to this, but I wanted to see how high of the ladder he was climbing to that next level, and if he had made it.
No, yeah, 100% I can agree. I just, for me, one question for you. But you can't, it's hard for you to actually, you can't argue that Gaethje has earned it more than Oliveira. But he deserves it more.
With the recent performance, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that if Charles and Islam weren't booked, and it was just if you were looking at it from a blank canvas, and it was like, all right, he's 1-2, he's 1-1. We're giving it to Gaethje. Of course, I would say that. In a vacuum, you give it to Gaethje. But I think because of the situation and the circumstance, that still opens the ability for it to be Charles. I'm not complaining about either. But I'm just saying that I still think that because of the circumstances, because of what we saw, and I honestly don't think that Islam's comments are gonna hold that much weight for Dana. You know what I'm saying? Because Dana, he respects the fuck out of his champions, but at the same time, Dana is quick to say, yeah, but the pay-per-view sales. You know what I'm saying? The pay-per-view sales, and the money is always where the money's at. So,
well, I mean, to that point though, Adrian, I mean, Gaethje versus Makhachev is going to sell better. But also, it's not about the champions. It's about how much Dana owes and respects Nurmagomedov Khabib, and in that camp. So, and listen, I 100% disagree. I think that Islam's word means a lot to Dana White, and I think he's going to take that into consideration a lot. I mean, dude, they literally got pay-per-views for these guys, Khabib and Islam and Hamzat. Their word is going to, mean a lot, especially when you've reached Islam's level, which is world champion, right? So I actually do think, I think this is better for me to see, because now it actually makes sense for me, because we haven't heard Dana was Oliveira's next after the fight, but We haven't, obviously these comments are brand new. They happened, I think, a day or two ago. But we haven't heard Dana's comments on, what's next now. So, I mean, maybe he's going to be asked at the press conference either this Thursday or the post-fight press conference on Sunday about this. I hope somebody asks him. And I wouldn't be surprised if his tune changes where he says, you know what, we're actually reconsidering. We got some fights that might be needing to be announced. Because listen, I mean, you're telling me I'm booking you great fight. I mean, Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan is a hell of a fucking fight. And then if Oliveira wins that fight, I can't sit here and deny Oliveira his championship rematch. He would have rightfully earned it. And then Arman, it's just a perfect thing for me. I that's what I think. But let's wrap this up with one last topic. Merab Dvalishvili is now lined up and matched up to fight Henry Cejudo at UFC 298 in Anaheim, as I believe the co-main event to Volkanovski Topuria. This fight was booked for August of this prior year of 2023. Cejudo got injured. I think it was a shoulder injury. Can't wait for this fight. I love Henry Cejudo. I love when Henry Cejudo fights. I think he's a very exciting fighter. I'm not going to mince words. I still believe that he won that fight against Aljamain Aljo in May, I believe it was. I watched that fight back, I think, two more times after that. So I've watched it 3 times in total. Henry Cejudo won that fight. And honestly, and remember, guys, if that one judge scored it correctly, I'm talking about round 5, which was clearly for Henry. Everybody agrees universally for Henry round 5. And he scored it for fucking Aljo. If he scores that correctly, Henry Cejudo is our world champion. Who knows? Is Sean O'Malley our world champion? Because then that fight possibly happens, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe O'Malley fights for an interim championship. So many things would have been different. But Adrian, tell me your thoughts on Merab versus Cejudo. What do you think about the fight? What do you think about the circumstances? I know you had something to say before the show.
I think that Merab.
Oh.
Hold on, I got you.
Got you. Just gotta click it. Yeah. Give him a second. He'll be here. Better.
All right, awesome. I think that Merab, being the number 1 contender, and now with Aljo out of the picture, automatically makes whatever Merab's next fight, if it isn't a title fight, got to be a title eliminator bout, right? You would think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Dana doesn't like Merab, but still, like, when a number 1 guy fights, usually the number 1 guy's fighting for a shot at the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So Henry just lost the fight. I personally thought he lost the fight. I do. But honestly, and I was rooting for Henry going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think that, Henry just came back to the division. He'd probably work his way up, get a fight in there, start, getting back into it, going up against somebody like Merab, who's he doesn't try to finish you all the time, but that dude is he's not a gun. He's not a pistol. He's a freaking automatic weapon. You know what I'm saying? He's constantly shooting, takedown. He's like the more polished Raul Rosas, where he was spamming the takedown. That's Merab, so he's going to pressure you. Cejudo's obviously got his wrestling credentials. Nobody's counting him out. But at the end of the day, you've been out of the game for as long as you have. Your first fight was a title shot. You looked solid for a guy who's been out for that long. But at the same time, you gotta, I feel like getting a win, looking better, giving me a better look at what I think Cejudo can be. I don't know. I feel like Merab should win this one. But, hey, Cejudo is a champion. He was a champion. You got the championship medal. You do what you got to do, and you get the win. So, whatever it is you do.
Yeah, so your angle is you're not you think Merab should be fighting for the championship.
I think that I don't think Merab should be fighting for the championship, even though now that Aljo's gone, sure, you can say that the avenue is open for him to fight. But, at the end of the day, Dana, you know how it is. Dana's not going to give him what he wants because you've been doing this whole buddy thing with Aljo this long, and, we're not doing that. So, and I agree. There's no, whatever. You fight for a title, So maybe, yeah, you give him a title eliminator fight. But to say that should be Cejudo, that's where I kind of disagree. I think that Corey Sandhagen deserves it a lot more.
Mm.
You know, Sandhagen's been in that division cleaning up shop, and the dude's just getting booked up against Umar. And like, honestly, like, what are we doing here, bro? Like, what are you doing accepting that fight, man? You should be like, no, I just beat Cheeto. I just beat these guys that are now fighting for a title shot, and I'm not fighting for a title shot. What are we doing here? No.
I mean, yeah. Listen, he's fighting. The Umar fight is big balls by Corey.
Big balls, and then to take Font like on short notice, and he showed a wrestling display, honestly, that I didn't expect from a guy like Sandhagen. So that's why I sit here and I say, yo, book that Merab fight. He's ready. He's ready.
Yeah, but Cejudo called for this fight, and Merab wants this fight because now it's clear. Like, if you beat Henry Cejudo, if you beat a Henry, because again, this is all about a game of names, right? You beat a guy like Henry Cejudo, you can't deny him now. I mean, he's going to get the title shot. But this is perfect for Cejudo. I think this is actually a perfect matchup for Cejudo. I disagree with you, Adrian. I mean, what Merab does best is what Henry won a damn Olympic gold medal in. So I think he's going to spam as many takedowns as he can. And I think Henry Cejudo's game plan is, when this mother effer shoots, you make him pay every single time.
Stuff him every time.
Single time. Whether it be stuff him, whether it be take him down himself with the inside trips or whatever the case may be. And you don't do what you did with Aljo. If that, and he knows, if that situation ever comes up again where it was like this half Nelson type thing, you remember what I'm talking about, where it happened multiple times throughout the Aljo fight, and he didn't do anything to make him pay. If that happens in this fight, you best believe Henry is going to make Merab pay. He's going to learn from his mistakes. He's going to make one mistake, and then Henry is going to compute it and realize it. So, yeah, and listen, again, we haven't seen this either. Take away the wrestling from Merab. What is he on the feet? We don't know. And I would imagine it's not high level. And Henry Cejudo has become a pretty damn good striker with that karate stance, learning from the Pitbull brothers.
But I think that also, I was just about to say that, though. I think Henry's got it. That's what lost him in his fight last time, was the fact that he thought that he was just this technical fighter that is, I'm gonna stand with you and I'm gonna make you pay. No, like, I think that Henry, if he gets back, I mean, yeah, definitely improved striking game. Don't get me wrong. He was a guy that was rushing you and hitting you with power when he started fighting in MMA. Now he looks more polished and he's got more defense and he looks better when he strikes. But I think Henry's got to get back to form in the sense of, like, don't. He looks afraid to engage. I think that he got to be the one causing the action, especially when you're that size. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are just going to.
Well, I mean,
you can't wait for these guys to do something first. You got to engage.
Well, this one, he's not going to have a choice because Merab.
He's not going to have a choice.
Yeah, Merab is the engager. So
if he sits there and trying to be all technical, especially against a guy Merab, he's going to shut that shit down real fast.
Yeah,
he's going to take you out of your element, and he's going to force you back into your element. That's where it's sink or swim for Cejudo. We'll see how he's going to wrestle, after so long. I think it's going to be a wrestling match, but I also think that going back to that last Corey Sandhagen take, styles make matchups. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that, like you said, what is Merab on the feet? We don't know. Sandhagen could have done that, though. I think Sandhagen could have forced him up there.
It would have been interesting. Listen, Sandhagen's going to have his own opportunity against Umar Magomedov to stuff the takedowns in wrestling department. That's going to be a hella interesting fight. But that's going to wrap up episode 145 of the Wise Guys podcast, talking all things UFC. Cannot wait for this Saturday night. Final pay-per-view of the year, final event of the year for UFC before they take basically a month break off. It's going to suck, but we'll be back with you guys next week to review UFC 296 and maybe any other news that comes out of this pay-per-view, the press conferences or anything else that's dropped. And then I believe the week after that, we will discuss our year-end awards. And we definitely will have the audio fixed by next time. And that is going to wrap us all up. So thank you for joining us. I'm Brennan Capozziello. That was Adrian Pineres, and we are outie.